to D&D Beyond. My name is Amy Dallen. I'm here with my colleague Michael Galvis.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite races of all time, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
That's the teaser for what's to come. It's perfect. We are here to talk about two of the new player options coming our way in Spelljammer Adventures in Space when it comes out on August 16th. And of the 6 new player races, we're going to cover 2 today. We're going to talk about the Gunslingin Giff and the Immortalish Astral Elves, who have a really fun angle on the extended life. We're going to talk about them, how they work, and what build ideas they've already given us for when we get this book in our hands in just a few weeks. So before we dive into that, I want to say a quick hi because I know I was a little under the weather and I'm happy to be back. So thank you all for being here. And in the meantime, we got an incredible book release. I hope you've already nabbed Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. I hope you have claimed your copy of Spelljammer Academy, the serial adventure that's going to take you up from level 1 through 4 and get you ready for level 5 for Spelljammer Adventures in Space. You can claim that at no cost right now on D&D Beyond. If you're curious about some of the fun little tweaks you've seen on the site, you want to check out the changelog, which has gotten some updates, some cool table of contents stuff there, also on our site. And of course, there was a little San Diego Comic-Con and a D&D movie trailer, which some of y'all may have noticed us discussing over on the channel. So it's been really fun times, but we are here to talk about the big, the bold, the brassy, the blunderbuss wielding. I ran out of letters. Michael, who are the Giff?
Oh my gosh. I have been waiting years for this race. There was an article a few years ago that James Hayek wrote about the GIF. And that was my first real introduction to this race. And I loved all of the information that he provided in that piece. And now that Spelljammer is coming out, we're seeing the GIF within 5th edition. These these space hippos, they're space hippos. If you didn't know, hippos are my favorite animal. I think they're the cutest thing ever. So when you bring hippos into D&D for me, it's just it brings together all of the wonderful things that I love about life. Very cute little things that carry guns and just traverse through space. So the short of it is, GIF they have hippo-like heads. They are thick built and they carry big guns, and firearms are a big part of these folk, which we'll kind of dive into, like what it is about firearms and GIF that makes that they're why they're so intermingled. Also,
So
that's
they
such a cute
are.
flesh.
I like. Oh, he is the sweetest. So the Giff have been lurking for a lot of folks in a lot of different places over the years. If you watch the wonderful video over on the D&D main channel for a little more background on the Giff, Jeremy Crawford will remind you that Giff originally come from Spelljammer back in the day, and they became one of the distinctive and well-known parts of that environment, and have recurred in different formats since then, including updated versions of them that we have right now in recent 5th edition. But now they will be playable. Now we can finally live our space hippo dreams. And Michael, what are some things about how they work that might make that exciting? And I'm going to open for reference the wonderful article that you did for us that everyone else can find on D&D Beyond right now as we go through these.
Absolutely. So I think the one of the defining features of the GIF is that they have a racial trait called firearms mastery. And it has 3 key benefits. First, you gain proficiency with firearms, which is really fantastic. It means any class you're going to play, you'll come out the gate with proficiency with firearms. Second, you ignore the loading property of firearms. So with the loading property on firearms, there are certain weapons where you will typically be restricted to firing only one piece of ammunition from the firearm before you need to take time to reload the weapon. So with the GIF, they can fire off, reload, or whatever they need to do. They can quickly get the firearm ready for another shot. And then third, and this is a really important benefit for adventures in space because you may be fighting at long ranges. Attacking at a long range with firearms doesn't impose disadvantage on attack rolls. So you get to benefit from the full range of the weapon, which means you get to be a really awesome sharpshooter Giff, which is just so cute. Oh, I'm just exploding thinking about these Giff.
There are some extremely fun possibilities for them based only on just this one element of what you're bringing to the table when you roll up a GIF, or, by the way, a GIF, as it is noted. There is an internal division among the GIF and or GIF themselves, so both are correct, but feel free to have low stakes, meaningless arguments over it at your table.
Yeah.
As long as that's that's the appropriate level for those table fights and in-universe bar brawls, which are just a very fun concept. So we also know some other kind of flavory things about the GIF, or we know things that they don't know. Michael, what is that lore that we have some hints of about how they fit in to the worlds and spaces we're going to see in Spelljammer?
Yeah, definitely. So the GIF, I think they have a really interesting sort of origin story, right? So the GIF in world don't know who created them or really where they came from. What they do know is that they have like a natural sort of desire to traverse wild space and the astral sea. As players, those of us who are outside of the game, we know that the reason that they have this drive to travel and to adventure is because it brings them closer to the ancient titanic beings that created them and whose remains now are drifting off in some undisclosed location of the astral sea.
No naval based Titanic puns intended, I'm sure, but please feel free to add your own in chat. I love that because the idea of these very sort of practical, like, I'm a big hippo, I like guns, having this connection to the divine that draws them to the plane of thought is such a fascinating spin on this. And it gives me a bunch of ideas. So, Michael, what else should I know about what they can do that will give me some ideas about what I might want to build with them?
Absolutely. So I think one good takeaway is that just because if you choose to play a GIF, you're not locked into using firearms, right? If it's not your flavor, you absolutely can use different types of weapons. So the GIF, as part of their backstory, a part of this very faint connection they have with these gods that created them, they have another racial trait that interacts with this sort of astral spark that GIF have. And for the GIF, they harness that astral spark in a way that allows them to deal more damage with their weapons. So when I first saw this racial trait, I immediately thought of the goblins' racial trait that allows them to deal more damage with their weapons, and which is pretty iconic of the goblin. So the GIF have a version of that, and I think that really enables certain builds if you are thinking more mechanically when you're approaching a race. And then, of course, they have characteristics that kind of reflect the real world hippopotamuses that sort of inspired the GIF as well.
So I believe we learn partly if you check out that video with Jeremy, we'll learn that you're gonna get advantage on strength checks and saving throws, which makes for some very fun possibilities because you're a big cool hippo, and so some navigational elements. The what Stay tuned for the details on what Astral Spark applies to and what form that takes, but like a little extra burst of boom with what you can do that's based on their tie to their lore is just a beautiful expression of that GIF background. And the fact that they don't know who their gods are is, for me, so intriguing. Such a beautiful spark, no pun intended, for ideas for building. So we mush all this up together. We're ready to make our own GIF or GIF and roll them into some spelljamming adventures. Michael, what are some things you think you might want to roll up?
One of my favorite classes for the GIF is the artificer, right? So we as players know that the GIF and their gods had such strong ties to firearms way back when, like a millennia ago. Uh, so I just feel like the artificer is a really great flavor win and a really great flavor combination for the GIF because as a battlesmith, artificer, and artillerist artificer, you are creating machines which help you in combat, which help you out of combat. You know, you get um, your steel defender as the battlesmith, and as the artillerist, you get your little cute turrets that do different things. And so I feel that both of those really lend themselves to the sort of build where you would be standing in the back firing off a firearm while you send off your steel defender, or where you have placed your turret in a strategic position to support your other allies. Um, Also, the artificer just has a lot of really great interactions with magic items, and they get a lot of tool proficiencies, which I just think match really well with the GIF and what you may want, like the way you might want to flavor a GIF who is really connected to their past, or who really wants to connect with these celestial beings that created their people.
I love that. I'm intrigued by the fact that you're going to be very great at firearms, so you've got some range stuff going on, but that you also have this basic strength, and that intrigues me personally. I like to make, maybe they're not optimized, but some all-rounder kind of builds, and I find it fascinating to think of a hippo whose advantage in strength is going to get them acrobatics is dex and athletics is strength, right?
Correct.
Making sure. An extremely athletic uh uh Giff who sort of belying their like big hippo heads is gonna vault over a table or knock something down. I love the story possibilities that opens up, and so I think there's a lot of potential fun to be had by playing with the mix of like the dex and the strength, or finding some fun workarounds to like make them lean over each other as strengths. Um, I also love how in this article you referenced that if you look at the GIF and Monsters of the Multiverse, you could be inspired by one particular potential culture that they could come from, a
Mhm.
militaristic one, a sort of structured one. But of course, the fun of having those examples is that you can lean into them or you can lean away from them. So you can be the GIF who ran away from home to be a poet. And you can have modified your gun to shoot like balls of color that will do displays because you are somehow making it work with, like, I don't know, can you be a bard and you'll have proficiency with firearms? Can I be a
Yeah.
cool paintball GIF?
Yeah, why not? I love that idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna sail the astral seas and I'm gonna defend us in battle, and then I'm gonna do a cool fireworks show. By ignoring the loading property to just do as many shots as I want, and make a beautiful display that will drift using the various space properties in some kind of direction and maybe be found by explorers later. I don't know, but I love the idea of a practical GIF and their link to the divine as a source for sort of a questing GIF, someone who wants to see other things, someone who wants to find out their secrets. Those are things that really appeal to me. Michael, any what else would you look forward to rolling up with these folks?
You know, I think like you said, there's a lot of story potential with the GIF. Imagine, because the GIF don't know who created them, imagine that a warlock patron approaches the GIF and is like, yes, sure, I created your people. Let's make a pact together. And suddenly you have a GIF who vehemently believes that their patron is their creator, and therefore passing on the word and passing on the word about this patron means that they are doing good, means they're reconnecting their people with this ancient being that created them. It can create a lot of conflicts when your gift maybe discovers that maybe there's another subsect of GIF who believe there's a different patron or a different god who created them. and it creates these like arguments of like, no, the fiends created us. It's Orcus who made
False
us, of course.
false Giff prophets. That sounds incredibly cool. I cannot wait to meet such a character or NPC in a game. And anything else we should know about playing a Giff, or that you think would make for a fun possibility?
I think the what I love about GIF is, oh gosh, I love everything about the GIF. I'm sorry, but this is just, it's just my favorite thing. I can't. I've already told my play group like I need an opportunity to play these GIF. Um, and another thing that I love about the GIF is that you have a built-in reason to be an adventurer. We already talked about how the GIF, they just have an inclination to travel through wild space in the astral sea. So you have a built-in reason to just be an adventurer. You don't have to worry so much about like, oh well, why did my GIF leave this particular location? It's like, no, like they have this like instinct to just travel and to explore and to discover. And I
And
think
that's
it's
available to you if
tragic.
you want it. You can just tap into that idea.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a little tragic too to have this sort of desire to explore and to not understand why you never really feel at home or like you're always missing something. And I do like to have that sort of like tragic sort of element to my characters that just makes me just a little bit sad, but also that makes me root for them.
I just realized you're going to make a hippo person who makes me cry. And I don't
Yeah,
forgive you in
that's
advance.
the
I am very excited for that. So, the hippo folks of space are coming our way in playable fashion for the first time when Spelljammer Adventures in Space comes out. On August 16th. I wrote the date down and then kept forgetting it. I am going to throw in, because we have some excellent questions coming in, one or two chat questions here. I'm just going to quote this and not fact check it, and it's on both of you and me, person from chat,
oh,
because EMT Man wants to know, are a crew of GIF also called a bloat like Earth hippos? And if not, what are they called? A, that's a really cool fact, which again I will be checking after the stream, but I see no reason not to assume it's true. And B, I honestly, I love bloat, because then if you put them on a spelljamming ship and you send them off, then they're a bloat boat.
This question, I love this question because it raises uh, another question, and that is, do GIF know about hippos? And if so, what is the relationship with them? Because if you have a race that has been traversing wild space for millennia, would they have ever come across a world that has hippos? And then what
The people
happens
need
when
to
you
know,
get an
Michael.
awakened hippo and a GIF in the same room? Like, that's got to be a little weird, right?
Those are the kinds of possibilities we can't wait to bring to the table, along with the cool features and mechanical stuff that the GIF are going to bring to the table when we get Spelljammer Adventures in Space. Stay tuned, because next we're going to go into some astral elves as we explore the wonderful races coming our way in Spelljammer.